And we're live, maybe for real this time. I
Are you
don't
sure?
know.
Are you
I'm
sure?
not
Are you fucking with
100%
me?
sure. Yeah, I'm messing with you. We were just having the most incredible conversation. Guys, legendary takes. Legendary takes
Yeah.
that you'll never get to experience now.
I think we talked for a good 5 minutes.
We talked for at least 5 minutes, and then Darren was like, wait, I don't see the stream. And I was like, oh, that's because we're not live. So, yes, we're happy to actually be here.
Well, that was our little warm-up.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, nice to see you for realsies this time. It's just like, oh my
Yes,
God.
it's
I
like
cannot
stretch.
believe
It's
we
like
did that.
warming up. You know what I mean? It's like warming up. So now
Damn,
we're
both of us didn't notice. That's pretty embarrassing. You get a little more forgiveness because you've been awake for like 72 hours at this point. How long you been awake? How long you been on camera? All day?
long time. Much streaming, much face on camera, stream,
Much stream.
Loki watch. Yeah, yeah, and coffee.
I was telling Josh he needs to be like one of those Twitch girls that's just streaming for 24 hours a day, like clipping her toenails, fucking singing into the mic, doing all kinds of God knows what. That's what the people really want.
I mean, and the thing is, you guys
yeah.
didn't get to see it, but like I had full on toes out, and we were like doing like some clippy stuff. Yeah, it got a little bit weird. So it's actually probably good that that didn't actually go live.
He took it out, and then we're like, oh wait, save it for the OnlyFans, and then we just like put it back in the sock.
Exactly, exactly. Sock on. But we'll get back into the cool Star Wars thing that we were just talking about. I'm going to go through this again, take number 2 on this. So, guys, if you hadn't seen the Nerdy News Rundown, and I was sort of teasing this out, if you watch Nerd Theory or even some of the other streams, I was teasing out a big Star Wars story that I knew about that I couldn't report on it because it wasn't my report. I had to wait for it to officially come out. But
juicy report.
Yes, very
that has to simmer.
Whew, yes, and some sauce. And this would be that they're making a live-action Inquisitor show for Disney Plus, okay? And the report itself is crazy. I mean, that in and of itself is crazy, but the report talks about a lot of interesting things that I want to get into. But let's sort of start with, for maybe those of you in chat that are not super familiar with the Inquisitors, they're basically like Sith that aren't really Sith. They don't break the rule of 2. They're created by Vader in the wake of Order 66 to help hunt down the Jedi. They're first established in Rebels. They show up in the Darth Vader comic book. They're in Jedi Fallen Order. Bada boom, bada bang. We're actually flying through this. The second take's actually pretty good. But that's the Inquisitors, guys. And I think that's just quite frankly dope. So just at a base level, with that, Darren, what do you think? Live action Inquisitor show. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm super stoked for it because I've just been like itching. I want more dark side content and like real dark side content that just like gets into the funky, dirty, grimy Sith order, but not in the super campy way. Because I think what I was like, I've talked about it a million times, that Darth Bane trilogy that I just read, I think did a really good job of explaining the rule of 2 and making it go from this kind of over the top, not nonsensical kind of rule. Like, because when you think about the Sith Order on its face, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's like these people that are always just trying to like one up each other and take the other one out. Like everything that it's built on, like is built to make it destroy itself. And I think the way that the Darth Bane trilogy really breaks down the rule of 2 and makes it make sense is really awesome. And because of that, I want to see more dark side content that takes that side of it seriously and doesn't just make them these kind of like mustache twirling, like campy, like I'll get you next time kind of villains, and just shows that it is like a layered and complex side of the universe that is a big side of the universe that is pretty much 100% of the time born from the Jedi's bullshit. And yes. If this is going to be that space for that, I'm so into it. I really, God, I hope. I mean, I feel like Dave Filoni just like can't help himself. He has to do that Monster of the Week thing for every show, regardless of how serious. He'll always get to this really like thoughtful, amazing, like heart-wrenching, deep, complex story. But he's like, but first, I'm gonna make you watch 7 episodes of hinkety honkety, like Monster of the Week. Like he just like can't help himself. And so I really hope it doesn't do too much of that, although at this point I'm like, I just accepted that that's going to be the first few episodes. But I really hope it just really leans into what I feel like they have been doing a little bit more, but they haven't done enough of. It's just like the whole universe being so fed up with the Jeffs,
those freaking Jeffs, man. you know?
Jeff sounds like a hipster Hollywood mom name. Like, this is my son Jeff. But it's I everyone literally except the Jedi and the Sith are so sick of the Jedi and the Sith. Nobody
Yeah.
likes them. Everybody hates them. Like, everyone is so sick of their bullshit, and everyone is just so wrapped up in their weird fight. And the Inquisitors are no exception, right? It's like other Force sensitive people that are kind of put in this position. Like, okay, I could get hunted and exterminated, and I
Yeah.
don't really like either side, or I could like have a position of security and power and just do this thing. So, and
Yeah.
also like the dark side does corrupt eventually. So,
No, that's it. I think that's a great point.
drink the
It's going to be really interesting to see how they approach building up those characters because from what I know of how they're sort of introduced, you don't get a clear idea of what exactly brings them all together. They're just sort of there as like these dark side
Yeah.
entities. The Grand Inquisitor, he gets a little bit more characterization because he in Rebels is revealed to be a former Jedi Temple guard. And that like sort of comes with a whole bunch of implications, but again, never fully realized, never fully explained. So in a world where, yeah, we do hear that they're going to start taking the dark side more seriously. There's this acolyte show. There's a lot of interesting things possibly happening with the dark side. Doing a full-on Inquisitor show is bold. Like, that's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that feels like there's no way you're not going there with the dark side. One of the things that was just a tiny little tidbit of perhaps what the story could be about is
Mhm.
a new sister, which they call the members like the second sisters and the second
Yeah, yeah,
son
yeah.
and all that, right?
Well, there's
So
a bunch that are not identified, right? That they're
y-
just like kind of
yeah,
vague
yeah. And they could do
ones and twos.
frankly whatever they want. It looks like Dave doesn't really mind forgetting about comics and kind of doing his own thing. But there's just this rumor, or it's in the report that there'll be a new sister that is sort of turning, right? Like she understands
Mm.
the Inquisitors, but she sees them going too far. Or she sees it as being too dark side or too violent. Very interesting. Some people think that could be Barriss Offee, but regardless, an interesting character to make the focal point, perhaps, of the show. Somebody within this dark side world that is feeling like almost they are going too far, right? Like you said, like they could be
Yeah.
potentially getting sick of the Sith because Vader would maybe be there and be in charge. Yeah, I don't know. That could be a very very interesting character to pull out of a dark side thing and then play with in other stories. I like that kind of sandboxy thing that you can do with these
Yeah.
characters.
Well, what I love about Dave Filoni is that, like, even in just these rumors, these very light rumors about the Inquisitor show, it just makes me feel happy inside that this dude has an idea and he has a vision. Like, he's on his Feige shit, right? Like, he really is thinking of this in the grand scheme of things, really bigger picture. And because, like, the Inquisitors, everything that has been laid out so far, like, while it is a good idea and there have been seeds planted, it's not very extensive, right? He's been very vague with everything, but then giving it a show and giving it like a greater universal tie-in makes me think that, like, he knows. Like, he's got the ideas, he's got the vision in his pocket, and he was just kind of like waiting for the opportunity in Disney to kind of like give him the go ahead to finally do and execute this vision. And with these like four sister, sorry, they're all numbered.
Yeah,
This one
the second
that'll
sister,
be
third sister, ninth
yeah.
sister, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, with that, it just like that is I'm very curious. I think there's a lot of potential there because I do think one of the weaker things in Star Wars that they always lean on, and this kind of happened in The Rise of Skywalker, is doing that very grandiose kind of villain that just like, I just want to see the world burn. And you're like, that's not, I mean, it can work in some regards, but you gotta like, there's a whole universe at play here. There's got to be something more alluring than that,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like the same way that like, when you hear about a renowned dictator or serial killer, right? And then you one of the aspects of their personality is that they're very charismatic and likable, and then that makes sense, right? It's like people get behind certain people or certain causes because they're likable, they're charismatic, they make sense. So it can't just be like wanting to watch the world burn and wanting order,
Yeah.
right? Like there has to be real stakes and real benefits for the people here, regardless of the extremes. And I just really hope that they lean into that and there's like that space for this, because that's what the Sith essentially is. Like with this rule of two, by fine-tuning this rule of two with like the master and the apprentice, the one to hold the power, one to crave it, it's like the whole point of their order is to have these larger machinations that are, you know, pulling the strings of the universe at large. And I just want to see
Yeah.
that. I want to see the machinations of the universe at large and what they really, really want and what they really do with that power. Because obviously the main power is like destroy the Jedi. But I want to see, you know, the other
Yeah.
stuff. And if this is that, then eat.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's a whole bunch of complexity and different things that they could do with that. And you're right about Filoni in his Feige shit, because he's basically like, it just feels, especially because they also indicated in the report that these Inquisitors are also going to be in the Kenobi series, which is really interesting. Like, Kenobi possibly facing down against Inquisitors, that's a fantastic idea. You know, it just
Yeah.
kind of makes me think like Dave's mind is kind of he's the biggest Star Wars fan, and he knows what he wants to see on screen as a fan, and he knows that's pretty close to what other fans want as well, right? So he was like, I need a way to have the characters in Rebels fight against people with lightsabers, but I can't have them fighting against the Sith. I can't have them fighting against Vader because Vader will just whoop them each time. So I have to have something else. So he invents the Inquisitors and the Inquisitorian and like fits it into this whole thing. It's dope. So the idea of seeing that now translated into Kenobi is fantastic, because as far as I understood it, Dave was not in charge of Kenobi at all. But now that he has this creative director position, I think he's able to push for things more and influence shows beyond the shows that he's producing. Because I don't think he was a producer on Kenobi before. Maybe he is now. Regardless, like, definitely seems like he's over there making moves, pushing the connective tissue even further and really building out that universe. And that's something sorely missing from Star Wars. So I am pumped on that, just on its face.
Yeah, and I think I know we've talked about this a bunch of times, and I really hope this starts exploring other facets of the universe that aren't so tied to the Skywalker saga. Because I'm actually a little bit worried in Obi-Wan and like how much they're gonna rely on that too. Like I just feel like there's so much story that's already been told there. I worry that it's gonna kind of be like beat the dead horse kind of feeling. And I want to explore other forms of the Force and magics that are going on in this universe, and like the Inquisitors will be that entire side of it, because they're going to be dealing with the Force in an entirely different way, right? It's like if the Sith is basically like monitoring and like petering out like the kind of Force strength that they get, but they still have capabilities, and how much are they involved? Like I want to go elsewhere. I want to see what else is out there, you know? It's a big universe and I want to explore it. And so I feel like bright things are on the horizon. I'm very excited about that. I do think Dave Filoni was like our saving grace in this regard, because we needed that. Like we needed that Kevin Feige super fan, right? That like Dave, he loves Star Wars and he lives and breathes it. And like you made a great point actually, and it's like I heard this on an interview. I think it was with Pete Holmes and Bo Burnham, but they're talking about like the most authentic art comes from making the art that you want that just isn't available. You know, it's just like, and I feel like that's Dave Filoni's whole steez. Like he has so much Star Wars in his soul and so much that he wants to see, and he's making what he genuinely wants to see. And from that is going to come the best quality product.
Definitely, as compared to like sort of corporate-y guided, like focus group tested kind of very safe plays that like somebody like a JJ would make or something like that. You know, Dave's done some stuff that's kind of crazy and bold too. Like he technically ended Rebels by having a bunch of space whales show up and go into hyperspace. Like that's crazy. Like, yo, people could have been pissed. Like that's not exactly the coolest most macho, thing for a Jedi to do. Like, how did Ezra Bridger win? Oh yeah, he whistled and brought freaking space whales, and like that shit's ridiculous. But it's so fun
That's
to
like
see.
ping to memory. That's an old Star Trek trope.
Did it happen in Star
That's
Trek?
where he got it. Yeah, they like
Mm.
happened upon like a space whale. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
Whoa. No, I
Ooh,
was just
I
gonna
love
say.
it.
I remember way back in the day, like, because I had the pleasure of listening to Dave talk about his process a little bit, like live, and this was many,
Mhm.
many years ago when he actually was in the second season of Clone Wars, and he
Mm.
talked about this zero gravity lightsaber fight that they wanted to do, and he was just geeking out about it. He was like, I always wanted to see zero
Yes.
gravity, and it's just so crazy, and like, and he's like showing us this
Yeah.
thing, and it's like you could tell he just literally a man child that's been thinking about this like fucking like nightly, like, dude, I want to see a zero gravity lightsaber fight, and then he gets the chance to make it happen. It's a beautiful thing. It's pretty cool.
That's exactly like that is exactly what I mean. It's like I want to see that. I want someone who really lives and breathes it, and it gets giddy, gets stupid little boy, nerdy, giddy about these
Yup.
things. And it's like that's when you see the really cool things in, the extended universe canon and stuff with like the lightsaber pike and the light whip and all these
Yes.
fun ways that just someone who's just been ruminating in this universe. What if this? Like,
Yeah.
what if that? And gets out of this like clones Jeth again, you guys. Jedi and Sith shit, and like really has fun with it. And then, and that's what I feel from Dave Filoni a lot. It's just he's having fun with it. It's just like a joy to be a part of. I'm so, so glad he's in the position he's in now. And it makes me really excited for the shows that are about to come. I think
Heck
it's
yeah.
going to be really awesome. I think we have some really fun stuff from Star Wars on the horizon.
Yeah.
And if not, the amount of content that's coming out it's like, thank God. Like we
Yeah.
talked about this like a million times. Like just the start churning it out, dude. You guys have the money, you have the budget, like just do it. Like you need more content. The content once a year that's subpar is not doing it. Like
Right.
just
Mm-hmm. No, they need to turn it up. They need to turn it up. It's just it's encouraging. You know what I mean? It's just encouraging. And then, there was the Barriss Offee story that I talked about on Monday,
Mhm.
which is exciting. She's such a cool character to put in the Ahsoka show.
Yeah.
And like Dave is just like this Ahsoka show is going to be bananas. Like it's going to be bananas. His episode, I still think, is such a strong episode. If that Luke episode hadn't just been Luke, I mean, come on, like I don't know if you can
Yeah.
beat Luke coming back like that. But that Ahsoka episode is a very close second. That episode is a
Yeah.
masterpiece. I just love the way he used her, but did her
Mhm.
very his live action version of her is it's its own kind of flavor. Like it's so
Mhm.
Kurosawa to me that it's almost different than a lot of other Star Wars that I've seen, and it gives me like a very fun, like new kind of feeling. I want to see just way more of that. Like the way he used the gongs, the way he used the atmosphere, like even the styling of the fighting and the rhythm of those fights just felt different. It's very Filoni Star Wars, and I could like dig that as an entire brand. Like, give me all of that, in every little show. Like that touch, that eye. You know what I mean? Like I again probably getting a little too hyped up about it, but
Yeah.
I
It's
am
kind of
quite
weird.
excited.
I kind of a little bit disagree. I didn't like
Yes.
I didn't absolutely love the Ahsoka time. It felt like it was kind of hitting the marks where they wanted Ahsoka to be in it and they wanted to hit certain plot points to like move things along and set things up. But
Yeah.
it didn't go as deep and it didn't give me the Ahsoka character moments that I really love. Like the
Okay.
interactions that I really love that feel very Ahsoka to me, where you're just like, bitch, like, yes, like you would
That's
say
true.
that.
No,
It
that's
felt
fair.
very like vague.
Yeah.
And then also I was just like, Rosario Dawson, I need you to hit that combat training and make these scenes a little tighter.
Really? Okay,
Because
so the first part I can totally kind of see where you're coming from because there's only a few moments where I really felt Ahsoka come through. Like there's a few
Mhm.
moments where I was like, dang, like that really felt like Ahsoka. And otherwise, it didn't feel classic Ahsoka. There's a very particular vibe with Ahsoka, especially towards the end. She's
Mhm.
very wise, but has almost like this quippy pluckiness to her as well. And I
Yeah.
didn't quite get that in Rosario's performance. But for me, the combat was like amazing. Like I don't know. For me, it's stylized and it's very spooky
Yeah.
and atmosphere based and stuff like that. But I thought the choreography was dope and the way that she used the force and stuff. I personally like that. So
I meant like I liked the stylized of it. I liked her for her first intro where she came out with her like white lightsabers. I was like, oh,
yeah,
like I just like a creature like that. But I do feel like they were cutting away from her a lot in that big baddie
fair.
scene,
Mm-hmm.
which is like me being like, all right, this just needs to, I think maybe they did this a little too fast because like she just like
Yeah.
really couldn't hit those stunts. So it just kept being like a lot of cutaways that I really wanted in the continuity of those
Fair.
like just hit my microphone. Those really like big, like whipping something around. I wanted to see everything connect more, and it just felt very like jaunty. And I think it was just because they were doing it faster than maybe they had the timeline for.
Yeah.
And she's not as well versed in something like that, whereas some of the other actors in that scene are a little more experienced in that. But at the same time, like I'm not even kidding. Like when I first watched the Clone Wars, in my brain, I was like, one day if they do a live action Ahsoka, I wish it would be Rosario Dawson. Like I said it in my brain. And then when like I literally watched, like I had no spoilers and I went into it like cold turkey.
Whoa.
And when I saw it was Rosario Dawson, I was like my jaw dropped to the floor. Like I was so like, because I really do think she's perfect for it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited for the show, because when she really gets those the opportunity to leave into those moments, Rosario Dawson has Ahsoka energy like to the T. That calm, quippy, relatable, empathetic, but also take no shit. It's just like she's perfect, man. She's perfect. I just want her. I want the.
I think
his combat seems to be a little more.
Yeah, I think they both learned a lot. Probably in that episode, I did notice in part of the gallery thing and just from the set photos, there were definitely a lot of reshoots on the Ahsoka episode. There was some, and so there were some things that because I went deep on that one, being the fanboy that I am. I reached out to a lot of people about it, and so I know that they went back and did a lot of reshooting on it. I feel as though Dave really still has a ways to go in his live action sensibilities. To me, though, that was like a masterpiece. Like it just got me, but it's very atmosphere based. Like I will say that it's not as strong as some of the other episodes as far as like what you would normally get as like a sort of fun, very well paced type of actiony thing with Star Wars. You get an adventure. It's a very adventure ride with a lot of that kind of stuff. That was not what Dave's episode was like. It's a particular vibe that I personally enjoyed, but like I can agree is a little different. I think with the Ahsoka show though, like they have to nail it with her and other characters, of course, but like with her for a whole freaking show. Like so there's no way to like hide her. The cutaways, all that kind of stuff is off the table. So they have to take it in a better, different direction. I guess we just have to hope that they both grow into that a little bit. You know what I mean?
I mean, she's my favorite character, my favorite Star Wars character of all time. So I'm just jazzed.
Yeah, man.
I'm like style play, but I will say like I'm a little biased. I'm like I know that I'm coming from a bias that is like purely animation based, but the way that they pair her against someone like Maul, who's the guy who does Maul, the real life guy.
Oh, Ray Park.
Who can just like break the physicality that he brings with that, against like what in my mind I want us to see from Ahsoka makes me a little bit biased in like the action scenes.
That's totally fair. And hopefully she does get better with it and the choreography gets better as well. Because I agree, like it was those other action sequences are they're way crazier and way more physical. Hers was very, they tried to really get that flow thing. I felt like they did a great job in a lot of moments when she's deflecting on the roof. That felt very Ahsoka to me. And then, just like diving away like that. But it could certainly get much tighter. Josh, acknowledge chat. I refuse. How about that?
I think it just felt very posed to me, but then at the same time, if you're saying like that's also like a stylistic choice, and there's that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fanjecture, jeez. So what else is going on? Let's talk about Loki a little bit, and then we'll talk about some other nerdy stuff. We'll get into Q&A. What did you think? Episode 2. What do you think?
Dude, Loki is it. Loki, like it's it. Like I everything that we wanted and bitched about in all the other shows that like is happening, and it tickles me so. I'm so goddamn pleased with Loki, and this
Yes.
episode is no exception. Like the pacing in it is fantastic. Like the fact that we're already at this point in episode 2, I'm like, yes, yes, move it along. Like like, when we were worried when we heard about like, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier in their episode, like we're like, are they going to get to it? Maybe they're going to get to it. And this, I have none of those things, none of those worries are completely gone with Loki. Like they are moving right along. And even
Yeah.
if you're not getting all the information to make sense of it, like the pacing of it is fantastic. And it actually, even in the little moments, like I think you were saying in another stream that you loved like even like the Miss Minutes part of it, where
Yeah.
like he's interacting with Miss Minutes and it's super fun. And I think a lot of the credit to that of why those scenes are so fun is because of the pacing, because it is moving along so well and so efficiently that those moments also serve the fun and the almost like upbeat nature of the show. Because I will say that like Miss Minutes sequence did actually feel like very Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it really
Like
did.
shout out to
Mhm.
yeah, where it's just kind of like this weird nod to like the weirdness of like the setting that they're in. They don't waste too much time on it. It's not long, it's not expansive, it doesn't like halt the story, it doesn't take away from it. It's just like this weird, which Rick and Morty does all the time, right? Where they're like in this crazy setting and they just have this blip of like the weird shit they do there, then they
Yep.
move right
It's
along.
like a weird
And
little
so
like anecdotal
yeah,
thing where you're like,
yes.
"Oh, in this universe, all of our eyeballs turn 360 degrees or
Yeah,
something." And then they do it and you're just like, "What the fuck?" And then they just
exactly.
pull away. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
No, that was fantastic. I thought it was such a great episode. Again, I loved the dynamic of Loki and Morbius. I think that is that is I understand why so many of the interviews that in previous oh my god, previous weeks they were always praising Owen Wilson and Tom
Yeah,
Hiddleston. I
dude.
get it now. Like I get it now. Like, they deserve it. Their chemistry and their performance and the way they interact off each other is seriously awesome. Like even in the little moments, their subtle reactions to other people, because like that's another acting skill that I think that people don't always notice, right? Is like the way an actor reacts to other people in the scene
Yeah, for
will
sure.
add depth and elements to it. And I think they're both very skilled at that. So it's just been an absolute pleasure to watch. What about you, man? How you feeling about it?
Oh man, I'm stoked. I'm so pumped to be happy about the Marvel shows again. Like, no offense to these other shows, and again, I
Right.
clarify this like I feel like every time I'm on camera, but WandaVision was a great ride. The ending just really messed with me. The boner messed with me, man,
Hmm.
and then the finale was, in my opinion, pretty
That
weak.
boner really poked you the wrong way.
That boner rubbed me the wrong way. You know what I mean? And just felt like it came out of nowhere, and I wasn't given much warning. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're saying you didn't give consent?
There was no consent given. You know what I
Cancel.
mean? No consent given, Feige. Anyway, and then Falcon the Winter Soldier, I think it was more or less the fact that I just had such expectations for the show, absolutely loving those two together. And
Mhm.
really, look, I just don't know how to tell this to people. The show just doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. It doesn't get to where I wanted it to go. There are shows that are
Mm.
fantastic, and there are. I felt like the way they handled some of the themes were brilliant, but it's
Oh
just
no.
for me as a greedy Marvel nerd. I'm sorry, it just wasn't good enough for me. And then here we arrive at Loki, which honestly, the ironic thing here is that my expectations for Falcon the Winter Soldier were through the roof. I thought we were gonna get like
Mhm.
Dark Avengers established, like we were gonna freaking go there, and yeah, there was gonna be like this, racial element and Bucky's trauma and all this stuff. But I felt like we were gonna go to some comic book places, but we really didn't, right? Loki, I was like, oh, a show about the variant Loki from Endgame. So they're just cashing in on the Hiddleston check is
Yeah.
kind of where my first level reaction to that was. I was so wrong. This show is obviously very important to things that are coming, but even just being Loki, doing his thing, experiencing this wild aspect of the MCU, like what a brilliant character to sort of take a narrative lensing of the craziness that they want to do moving forward. This is perfect.
Right.
And you're so right about their chemistry back and forth. I loved the scene when they're getting the briefing and Loki's like trying to impress or and trying to make it seem like he's cool, and Mobius is just like, are you done? Okay, thank you, Professor Loki. And like legitimately like he does seem demeaned. Like Loki seems offended
Yeah.
by it. It's very interesting the energy and the dynamic that they have. There's even just in the little moments where like Hiddleston's asleep and Mobius wakes him up, and in that very genuine camaraderie way is like, let's take a walk, and then they share like more kind of intimate moments of getting to know each other. It's very bizarre how good the two of them are, and it's an embarrassment of riches, this freaking show, man. I am here for it all the way.
Dude, for sure. And it does lend itself to the weird tension that the show is creating in the subtext of its narrative that you can feel kind of right off the bat with their interactions, right? So it's just like because they kind of have this like weird natural chemistry, this weird camaraderie that's not really based out of anything is substantial, really. It's they don't have a
Right.
common goal. They don't have any like common people. Like they just really have this weird chemistry and this weird camaraderie. I'll say it again. My God, it's just like repeating the same sentence 3 times. And so you could see why it would lend itself to the confusion of like them thinking that they were on the same side, regardless of this weird fight that they're fighting. Like it's very confusing. So
Yeah.
even then, like when he's making that decision between female Loki and with the TVA, you're kind of like that classic, the thing you love about Loki, right? Where you're like, who's he gonna choose? Like, what's it gonna be? Because it's just like you really never know what Loki is going to do, and that's obviously the beauty of his character. But then it's like you feel like he's going to choose the TVA for no, like, I remember being like, oh, like, he's not going to betray them. But in my mind, I was like, yeah, but why, Darren? Like, why? Like, why wouldn't he? It doesn't make any sense. Like, you're just
Yeah.
basing it off of this weird chemistry that they've developed so naturally together. It's beautiful. Like, it's really masterful. Like, what just like the performance of these characters have done for like the narrative aspect of the show. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. Hopefully, a cool sign of things to come. I mean, I'm so encouraged by the fact that this Michael Waldron guy being, heavily involved in this show, and then Doctor Strange, and even the Star Wars stuff too with Feige. I mean, what a brilliant choice! Like, what a great talent to get to come help you out with your stuff. It's fan freaking tastic, man. I'm certainly loving it.
I do
Certainly.
have a question for you though, because I
Yes.
did hear you bring this up in another stream
Yes.
about the Lady Loki. I gotta say, I was not impressed. I didn't like it. I don't know. It's not that I didn't like it.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I had other when I wanted her to be vampy and
Yeah.
alluring, and I wanted her to give me Tom Hiddleston vibes, but as a lady. And what I got was like a kind of a stranger that I don't, which I guess we'll find if that's the point, if that's the
Yeah.
case that they're trying to make. But I don't know. For
Well,
Lady Loki in my mind, that's not what I was not satisfied with the reveal.
so let me ask you this, because the way I remember it is most of her dialogue is not actually done by the actress, right? It's done by these other dudes, right? That she's possessing. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think that had something to do with it?
No, it honestly it wasn't even that. Like actually the dialogue was good. It was literally like I think it's like the physical appearance of her. Like I just wanted her to
Damn.
look more like Loki. Like I wanted the variant to be like a variant of him. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna at least be like similar looking. Like, who is this? What is
Yeah.
this chick? Like
Yeah.
they look
She
literally
looks.
nothing alike.
No. You're right. They look nothing alike. But let me ask you this: does Tom Holland look anything like Tobey Maguire?
Okay, that is like a whole other bag of cats. Like that's just like oh, that's
Does
totally
Andrew
different world.
Garfield look like a bag of cats?
Hey, you know what? They're all just like white dudes with brown
True.
hair. That bag of cats of brown hair white dudes. Okay.
You're right. You're right. That's what that's the nomenclature for a group of white dudes is a bag of cats. So and next time
Just a
you're
bag of cats.
just look at this freaking bag of cats over here. Anyway,
I don't
let's
know. I just feel like I've been to Comic Cons where I've seen chicks looked
that are
more
killing
like
it
Lady
better.
Loki in my mind than what I got in the show. I was just like, I've seen cosplays better than this.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you think about the theory that it's not Lady Loki at all, that it's actually Enchantress? What do you think about that?
I feel like I kind of think that's true.
So if it is Enchantress, then it's likely the only way I see that working then would be if it's obviously the newer version of Enchantress, who's really just a human given powers by Loki, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
bizarre. But that would have to be like the older Richard E. Grant, like old Loki, yeah.
But
Because like
that's what my mind went to when I saw her, because I was like, this isn't Loki.
maybe
And
that's
then
on
like all
purpose.
those,
If it's on purpose, then
yeah,
is it a good desired effect?
yeah. Because then like
Well, then let's go with that.
as as more stuff came out, I was just like, okay, yeah, maybe it is Enchantress though, because I feel like this chick
Yeah.
is not.
No, that what's funny is
Loki.
like, hey, sometimes that's just one of those things. Like you're not the first person that said that. There's many people that have been like, wasn't feeling it. I find that interesting. I'm like, you know what else? People really don't like the person who I forget her name. Don't they all have numbers or whatever? The TVA agents. It's the one that punched Loki originally when he went all like slow mo.
Hmm.
Whatever her character name is. Apparently, people have a big problem with her acting. Like I noticed several people saying they really didn't like her acting, which is another thing that I was like, that's not. Dude, I'm not picking that up at all. Like it's not taking me out of it at all. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. It's not registering for me as something that's like truly negative. I wouldn't say she's like my favorite performance, but it's a pretty simplistic character.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess obviously a more skilled actor could have made that, I guess, better.
Yeah.
But I think it's a pretty simplistic character. So I don't know how fair that is. It's so funny because with this like Lady Loki stuff, it's like it comes down to like just like why wasn't her hair black and greasy? I just want to see that black greasy
That
hair.
is actually an interesting point.
That's all I
Why
want.
wasn't her hair black and
It's so,
greasy?
it's so simple. All I want is black greasy. It's so weird, but it's just what I want.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that. You know, there's that visual continuity that you're looking for, and they just kind of didn't do it. You
Yeah.
know. So let's see here. In
Love
getting
that
into the
slick back
Q and
look.
A, Brian Bufka says with a $2 holla, Josh loves
Hey.
side quest robot and Rafa episodes. The hell are you talking about, bro? Side quest robots is aight. He's talking about Rebels, I think, Star Wars Rebels. Some of the Dave Filoni stuff that he does.
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
Rafa
yeah. Where they're
sisters.
just, you mean the entire first season?
Look, I'll say this. That's definitely not one of my favorite things about Dave. Like, I like a lot about Dave, but the side quest things, not my favorite thing. Not my
But
favorite
then it's
thing
like
that he
Rebels
does.
makes up for it in spades in
Oh,
like the
yeah.
later season, but it's just like hilarious because yeah, it's like the entire first season is
And I
literally
think
just them
one of
like
his favorite
running
episodes.
around.
Dude, that droids episode is ridiculous. Like I can't handle that droids episode. And apparently it's like one of his favorite Johns. So like I don't know, man. Fair play to you, Brian Bufka. Let's see here. Lawrence says with a $10 holla, did Lady Loki just create the What If series with all those bombs at the end of episode 2? It's the simplest explanation. So probably the most likely. I see what you did there.
Hello.
What do you
I
think?
love a simp punch. She gets a round of applause for the simp punch. I would love that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great. Because is the Watcher narrating? I always forget. Sorry, is he's narrating the What If series, right?
Yes, that's the thing. I think it's gonna be Jeffrey Wright, who's fan freaking tastic, being Uatu the Watcher. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and the
I would
what
love
if
that.
I would love it
What a
too.
what a simple way to just be like, and then this is why, and to get into it. Very like Christmas carol-y narration
Yeah,
to
no,
kick it off.
dude, I'm getting some good vibes about that What If series.
Dude,
I feel like there's gonna
yeah.
be some fun stuff there, for sure. So you might be onto something there, Lawrence. That would be kind of
When
fun.
Elisa and I did our evening stream last week, when she was asked or someone asked what our most hyped MCU project was, and when she pulled out What If, I was like, oh, I think I want to
Yeah.
change my answer. I was like, I forgot about What If.
I know,
That
right?
show is gonna be. I'm I'm tingling. I think that show's gonna be really something.
Yeah,
Like
I think so too.
really something.
Especially in the in age where like we've just got like Invincible, and I don't expect that What If to be like violent like that, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying like this whole like the animation form being really put to work for some of these like amazing IPs, I'm so into it. The Star Wars Vision thing, they're doing an Anime Expo preview of that coming
Oh
up.
yes,
Whoo, that's gonna
yes.
be dope. So yeah, this
And there's an anime Lord of the Rings,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. The battle where they like create Helm's Deep or whatever. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's happening. It's happening, and just once again a great time to be
And one of the things
a
that
nerd.
we were commenting about in that evening stream about What If is that like I think people forget a lot that like you need an actual director for animated shows like that will just direct an episode like you would in real life. And
Yes.
just from the trailer itself, the direction of What If looks spectacular. Like I think
Yes.
it's on another level.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one of the things that's kind of interesting about animation actually is that you can't really lean on a performance in the same way you can in
Yeah.
cinema. Sometimes like you just let good actors go and you get some beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
That does not
for
happen in
sure.
animation. You don't get anything that you don't write. You know what I mean? So,
Gotta map that shit out
yup,
like beforehand, storyboard every moment, and so
yup.
you really have to have
Has
like
to be
a
tight.
specific and pointed vision for the whole thing. And I just from what the animation from the trailer of What If looks fucking cool, like
Yes.
really just cool, dude. And
Yeah,
I'm excited.
it's gonna be rock and roll. I'm excited. I am excited.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Wait, let me find the rest here. Kevin with a very generous $20 holla says, "I hope they
Hey.
show how each Inquisitor turns to the dark side since they are mostly former Jedi. Puts weight on the quote." If you are not with me, then you're my enemy. Were they given the choice to turn to the dark side or die? Okay, I love that, Kevin. That
I
is
do love that
yeah,
too.
dude. Like if they are basically like, yo, you got two choices, but really one. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to die or do you want to help fight down the Jedi? You know?
Because what you're at, like what these inquisitors are really doing here is becoming assassins
Mm-hmm.
to innocent people. Like they literally kill like force sensitive children. Like that's
Yep.
crazy. And so it's like to get there, I would hope yeah, Kevin, I really want that for the show, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're gonna get behind these characters like killing literal children, we're going to need to know why, and we're going to need to know what got them to this place. And so if they could just really lean into that character development of like what would push someone, whether it be circumstantial, personal, whatever, to get to there would be chef's kiss. Thank you.
Amazing.
That was awesome. Yeah, love that, Kevin.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
concept. Really hope that something like that happens. That's yeah, and man, yeah, getting excited, getting really excited for the possibilities. That'd be fun. Colt says with a $10 holla, the combo between Renslayer and Mobius left me convinced the timekeepers aren't real. Seems like propaganda to keep TVA members submissive while Kang rules from behind the scenes. Wizard of Oz type vibes. What do you think, Darren?
I kind of got that same vibe too. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah.
it was they I feel like they made a point to make that weird. Like they kept just being like, "Oh, the timekeepers." And she's like, "Oh, you know the timekeepers." He's like, "I don't know. 'Cause I've never met them. Nobody's met them except you." So I am getting very Wizard of Oz, very Wizard of Oz vibes. And to bring back the Pee Wee Herman word of the week, nefarious vibes. Those timekeepers are up to some weird shit. How do they know what's the real timeline?
Yeah, for sure. It's so fun. I've seen so much fun stuff with it. Like I saw people speculating that they need the timeline with the Avengers to happen because Kang wants Thanos off the board. And I'm like, that's dope. Like that's dope. Like
Love
I'd
that.
be into
Love
that. There's all sorts of possibilities. I'm actually starting to get a weird feeling that instead of Kang being the one that's pulling all the strings, it's actually going to be old Loki. That the variant that we see of Prime Loki, like I've kind of been on this thought. What if the variant we see inevitably becomes the old man Loki, which is why he's brought up on charges by the TVA and all this stuff just persists because that old Loki's like, no, I need to arrive at the TVA, have all of my illusions fade to fully understand the actual power of the TVA, to then link up with this other Loki variant to eventually take over everything. You know what I mean? Like, it would also make sense as to why that Enchantress would get powered up to do exactly what Loki would need to to take over the TVA. I don't know. Maybe we're seeing like a
That's
self-fulfilling
an amazing
prophecy.
theory.
Yeah, it'd be
I do
fun.
like that. I love that theory.
It
That's a
would
great theory.
it would be fun.
I
I
agree.
I just think there's something that Waldron said about like he doesn't. The hardest part of the show was not like was basically subverting expectations because even this crazy show is setting up some stuff that like you can kind of see coming, right? So I just think of
Mm.
that Rick and Morty like level writing where it's like, yo, he might pull a wild one on us. Where it's like the whole time we're thinking we're watching Loki about to take over the TVA from the evil timekeepers or the evil Kang, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, man, Loki's the one fucking this whole thing up. Kang actually is about to save the day. You know what I mean? That would be bizarre.
I actually, honestly, like, I think the show is really doing a wonderful job right now, subverting expectations just as a blanket statement. Because
Mhm.
it's like, I really don't feel like I have a grasp of what Loki's motivations are at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially like
even
from
when he was like,
episode 1 to 2, there's like a very I remember being
yeah,
like, is he actually going to be docile or is he scheming? And then we sort of see him scheme and be docile and submissive in episode 2. So yeah,
yeah.
it is very interesting.
Like, even when he's like commiserating with female Loki or whoever she is, I didn't feel like that was 100% genuine. I thought the show did a really good job of that too, where just like
Mm,
you really don't know what his goals are, where his, because like that's what Loki does. He collects information. And he's just
right.
like, like, and what is it? Flat, like, what's the term I'm looking for? Where he gets in with every person that he interacts with. He just tries to get on everybody's good side to see what will benefit him
Yes,
in the
yes.
end.
Kind of like
So
CIA-esque. Like he tries to get in good with people and yeah,
yeah,
like get them to trust him and yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
True manipulation. True mischief.
yeah.
Yup, yep. Chef Moradi says, what it do, baby? Long time broke Venger, first time super chatter.
Hey,
Hey, what up, Chef?
hey. Well, I appreciate that a lot.
Heck
Thank
yeah,
you.
man. Chef's kiss for the chef. Super chat. It's a beautiful thing.
Give me a little that chef drip.
Chef
Damn.
drip with
Well,
the Salt Bay on him.
I appreciate that you wanting to spend a little bit of your broke venture coin on this stream. That makes me really happy.
Yeah, that is actually really really sweet. I always make it a point whenever someone like never super chats because I know like YouTube's really interesting where it's not like Twitch. Like Twitch, it's like it's a full culture of people that like, hey, this is streaming and this is what we do and then we support our creators and
Mhm.
do all that. YouTube's not like that at all. YouTube's the app that people go on to like figure out how to install the light bulb on their car and shit, right? And then like somehow they'll like find their way into different communities or things and then like the idea of super chatting is absurd. You're talking to a guy that a couple of years ago, I never even liked videos. I always thought like, all the YouTubers are like this video, please. I'm like, I ain't moving my finger. You know what I mean? To like your
Dude,
video.
I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
Like, I have to like mentally tell myself to like videos. As someone who's been on YouTube for like 6 years, I still forget
Yeah.
sometimes because I forget that a lot of us are just, kind of passive watchers, and we just
Yeah.
watch something, we don't comment, we don't like. And when you actually get involved, that takes a lot. And I was a broke venger, but for like all my other creators that I liked for a very long time,
Yeah.
literally not until probably like a few years ago did I have the money to actually start being able to like contribute and support people. So I remember just being like, I can't, but I love you. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's
and
always it's a big deal though, like to make such like an impact on someone or bring enough value for them to like send a little bit of money over the internet to a content creator. Like it does it's a huge deal to me like every single time.
I
And so
100%
I
agree.
I just think it's awesome. Like whenever somebody says like first time super chatter, I just want to be like, yo, like thank you for doing that. Like thank you for putting in your credit card information. Thank you for trusting that it wasn't gonna screw up. Like you know what I mean? Like thank you for believing that we're not just running some weird cartel where we, do crazy things with our money or whatever. Like for real. Thank you.
Dude, I literally remember the first time, like one of my favorite YouTubers, like of all time, is this chick, like Danica19, Comic Book Girl
Yeah,
19.
she's
And when
dope.
I finally could contribute like literally $2 a month to her Patreon, it was like a You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
Because I could literally couldn't. I literally couldn't for a really long time. So I get it, man.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
It is definitely dope. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see here. So-called Lady Loki was created as Sylvie in the credits, or credited as Sylvie. So is she really
Yeah.
Enchantress instead? Thank you, Colt. We talked about this a little bit. This is very popular theory being mentioned online. I think it's possible. I honestly don't know how I'd feel about it. Yeah, Darren, any additional thoughts?
I mean, that's what I was kind of talking about, where I was like, when all that shit started coming out, it's like, maybe it's Sylvie, maybe it's Enchantress. And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess I could see that because who is this blonde lady? Where's my black racy hair? But I just think, I mean, it's such a that character's like so open ended with what they can do with that too. So I really could see it going either way. Either way, it's a product of Loki. Like Loki gave Enchantress her powers, and
Yeah.
female Loki would be a variant of Loki. So either way, kind of like, I feel it's same side of a different coin.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll try not to get like hung up on it either way. I assume it'll be satisfying, with this team behind it and what we've seen so far.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I
It's
think
gonna
it's
be
gonna be
great.
cool. Mr. Anderson with a $75 holla says, "Where
Hey!
do you think it's the Simperer? Where do you think we're at chronologically as far as the TVA goes? This is interesting. Dawn of time, end of time. I get a simplification that it's outside of time completely, but I don't know. Yes. Well, the simplification is very important. You know what I mean? So,
Simplification, love that. Everyone bow down to my simper. It's Mr. Anderson. Yeah, because you were kind of talking about this in another stream, right? It's like, where do they lie? Because there's their reality, right? Where
yes.
they need to interject their timeline. I'm in the camp of outside of time.
Yes. Yes. Well, it looks like there's a slight sort of update to it in my mind just because they do mention that the Time Lords are trying to figure out the perfect ending and the perfect ending for all
Mhm.
of time. And so there's
Yeah.
there has to be some stopping point from which the TVA works on all this, and then this is still being decided upon by the timekeepers. That's sort of the idea. And then when it's finished, they'll all meet up at the end of time, happily ever after. Everything's perfect. We have a perfect timeline. It's a loop. It'll just always be its thing, whatever. So I don't know if that does anything to sort of anchor it, but I think that it at least sets up the idea of here's where that ends, and then there's still unknown consequential future ahead. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing that I think sort of anchors it. Other than that, it doesn't take place attached to any time. Loki came out of Avengers, but it's attached to all of that time to a point that we don't really know. Let's assume around Endgame. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like far, far future / outside of time.
Yeah.
Is my guess on that.
Yeah, I love the thing too where he was like, "It's futuristic, right? It sounds futuristic." Like even Loki was sort of making fun of that whole idea, which is
We're in the
again,
future,
so
right? Are
fun.
we in the future?
Right.
He's like, I don't. This is fucking.
Who knows?
Stubborn.
For real.
I don't know where we are.
Yeah. Colt says the $5 holla. It happened again. LOL. I send my super chat. My question gets answered right before it gets read. Oh yeah,
No!
yeah, it does. Hey, it happens, brother. We still appreciate the support, and actually, it's dope that we get to the thing that you're interested about. You know what I mean? So yeah, you shouldn't feel bad about that shit at all, bruh.
That means it was a super chat because you predicted.
I like that. Daniel says here with a $10 holla. I love how the locker poster changed in Loki episode 2 credits. Less meetings for the win. What? I have to look at that. That's interesting. I'm here for the Inquisitors
I don't
live
think I got
action.
that.
Yeah, long live the Simpire. Simp responsibly.
Yay!
Take my
Long live
money.
the Empire.
Yo, we should make some gear for that. Actually, that's kind of cool. The Simpire. I like
Yeah.
that.
My Simp Lords, my Simp Legion.
Yo, I gotta look at that post-credit deal and see what that's about. But yeah, the Inquisitors live action thing, dope. Glad you're enjoying the show, Daniel. I mean, what do you think he's talking about with that Loki thing? What's he talking about?
I missed that actually. The change of the poster and the credits.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Says
At this Wednesday time slot is kind of hard for me to find.
I know. You know what's
Those
funny
little
too?
stuff.
They pretty much locked it in. You see that? They locked the
I
Wednesday slot in.
know.
What the fuck? I still can't believe it. Okay, all right.
I mean, I know it works for like literally everyone else
Yeah.
because like every other normal person in this universe just watches it on Wednesday night, like after work, and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Great, what a fun time!" But all of us fucking psychos that have to
Yeah.
watch it like the minute it comes out, we're
Yeah.
like, "It's so hard."
Yeah. How you do all that? You gotta go hard in the pain and then be exhausted and be drained and I think next time I will actually do the cucumber thing on the morning stream after the watch parties. I must look like terrible. And they were making comments about like the bags under my eyes and how red my eyes were and shit. And I was like,
Josh, I'm
I'm
gonna
doing
get
it.
you that concealer. I'm
You
gonna
got
get you
to.
that concealer.
No, you
I'm going
absolutely
to get you
should.
your makeup routine that we've talked about a million times. You're gonna glow up. You're gonna look beautiful. I promise you, sweetheart. It's gonna change your whole game up.
There we go. But I'm still doing the cucumbers on my eyes because I think it'll be a funny bit though. Like imagine me just coming onto the stream with cucumbers on my eyes and then they like fall off and shit.
It's like start eating them throughout the stream
Yo,
and just putting more cucumbers
that would be
like
amazing. And then like
around,
I'm just a big cucumber, and then it's like
and
pickle
then
Rick.
like slowly but surely.
Let's go. Darth Baba
But
says,
yes, long live this empire,
"Long live
beating
this
people into
empire."
submission.
Indeed, indeed. Darth Baba says, "Do you think we'll see Lady Loki's Asgard?" That's pretty interesting. What do you think about that?
Lady Loki's Asgard. I mean, I wouldn't put it past this show. This show is not skimping on those special effects. Let me tell you, every scene has been like all out.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
if they do any kind of Loki backstory, like Lady Loki backstory, I feel like we are going to see it.
Yeah. I hope we see more of Asgard. I love
Yeah.
the music that kicks in every time Loki sees something about Asgard, and you can tell he actually legitimately cares
Yeah.
about those people. Like when he reads about Ragnarok and they play it again, the Celtic themes, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
It's like, oh yeah, I murdered my.
Yeah, well, he did see that he helped out, though. He saw that he helped his brother out and sort of was redeemed in the end. But then, yeah, their whole people get crushed by Thanos, anyways. You know what I mean? So he's probably like, "Fuck!" Like I helped that
Or
dude.
Ragnarok,
Essentially.
so wholesome.
Yeah, it's a gooder. It's a gooder. That's for sure. All right, let's see here. Adam from Fanjecture says Dave learned everything from George in Clone Wars. George knew fans hated Jar Jar, so we got more. Dave knows some don't like Martez sisters, so ... Oh my goodness! He's only doing this to try. You've turned them against me. He's just trying to get me triggered.
I will say though, there's a little bit of truth in that because I think that one of the things that people forget about in the prequels a lot that George Lucas really did make those for kids, and Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be the comic relief for kids.
Yeah.
So when all these people who saw Star Wars as children and were just like mystified, and they're like, oh, Star Wars is my life, and they go see it as an adult and they're like, wait, that kid shit's not hitting anymore. It's like, yeah, because you grew up. Jar Jar's not for you. It's not for you. So
yeah,
he's ridiculous and he's annoying, but he's not for you. And it's yeah.
It's fair. It's fair. As much as I want to be like, no, fuck you, Adam. Like Dave's the man. It's fair. He does have some of those tendencies, and I think that all creators need to sort of. Like I try to just be honest with about stuff. You know what I mean? And like, there's like some weird stuff where like. I had an experience where some people that I really respect that make cool Marvel stuff became aware of a video I made about a leak on one of their shows. And it was kind of a bummer because I had this whole thought of like, oh man, now I'll be forever probably be that guy to this person that I really respect that makes all this cool stuff. But at the end of the day, like, you gotta kind of just be zen about it. Like, that's what I fucking do. I get on the internet and talk shit and talk about all this crazy nerdy stuff. It was probably inevitably gonna happen that somebody that I liked was gonna see me in a less than, stellar moment saying some crazy shit about Star Wars. I do think, though, that if I were a creator, I would try to be intelligent about that and try to use the information that's out there, because it is, even if it's not always the most tactful or bestly constructed criticism out there, it's still literally what fans are saying. That's data. It's info, right?
Yeah.
So I do think that with regards to even creators like Dave, if he does something that's like whack, like Yeah, I'm gonna come out and be like, dude, I thought that was a little whack. Dave, come on, what are you doing, or whatever, you know? And that should be something that other people are free to express as well. And if that then becomes a representation of a lot of fan opinion, maybe they should change it. Like, I'm not a fan of creators being like, screw you, you'll take it. Just take it. You know what I mean? That's not a healthy relationship.
I feel like it's a balance because it is a new day and age, right? And you can't just sit there and pretend like the information that's available to you isn't available to you because you can just kind of get an idea of how people are feeling just by Googling it. Whether you want to take certain things to heart or certain things seriously is up to the creator, up to you as an artist. I do think it kind of lends itself to the point that we were making earlier, right? Is like as an artist, you really, really, and this is like something I'll fucking never be able to relate to, like the how hard this is. Be 100% confident in what you're making because you really do have to make what you want to see and what would make you super happy and what you would love.
Yeah.
And if that turns out to be the opposite of what people want, you have to be confident in the fact that that's originally your goal and what you wanted to make. You know, if that is changed by the studios and producers and everyone having their hands in the pot, that's a whole other bag of cats. But at the same time, it's just like I feel like Dave Filoni does do that a lot, where it's just like making the content that he genuinely wants to see, and it doesn't always. Yeah.
Yeah, but as long as it's
But
coming from a pure place and not like a
yeah,
vindictive like place,
yeah,
then I think you're fine. Like you're
yeah.
always gonna have kind of stuff like that. And by the way, every great band or musician made some commercial stuff and then went and did something that all those fans hated. Like it just always
Yeah.
happens. It's like, oh well, now they're gonna do the music they want and they're gonna experiment. They're gonna branch out, and a
I'm
lot of their
making a
fan base is
country
gonna
album, and you're
right.
like, no, shh.
Right. And then they realize very quickly it's like, oh, well, they love me, but kind of only when I'm doing this kind of thing. I better just,
Yeah,
dance with the one that brought you, sort of thing. So, yeah, interesting stuff. I appreciate that super chat. Definitely had me thinking.
yeah. Make the
Let's,
stuff you want to make, but you can't be mad at the world, but they don't love it.
you know what? I just remembered that super chat was from Adam from Fanjexer, so never mind. I don't thank him for it. All right. Catherine's Distros and Knights with the $2 hollow says they need an episode of Loki Santa, Loki's roast, Locasina, Loki's roast, like a roast of Loki. That'd be kind of interesting, if that's what you're referring to, sir.
What?
I think he's talking about like the roast that they do, like where they roast Justin Bieber.
Like Comedy Central roast, but with
Yeah,
Loki's.
yeah,
Oh my god, they could do like RuPaul's Drag Race, like where they do uh the impersonations of everybody, but it's a roast.
yes.
Anyways,
100%. Let's see here. Christian Michael with the $4 holler, but no message, bro. Damn.
oh, well
Yeah.
then I just thank you.
Yeah, just thanks, bro.
Thanks for the donation. I
Thanks for the
appreciate
donation.
it.
Unless
It's for me.
I mean, I was wondering if maybe you got something else. We'll try to look at it in chat. Anyway, Kenzie Martin
Maybe he
with a
just
$10.
likes me,
Maybe he
Josh.
just
Maybe he
likes
just
you.
likes me.
Maybe he just
Maybe
likes
he
you.
just wants to give me money.
Maybe
Okay.
the simptation is too strong. That could definitely be the thing. Kenzie Martin says, "What do y'all think about a series or movie about a badass rogue force user taking place in the time period of the hyperspace wars or 1,000 years in the future?" I'm definitely down. I'm just immediately 100% down. Darren, what do you think?
Sorry, I missed the first half of that question because I
Rogue.
accidentally got distracted by this chat.
Rogue force user taking place either in the hyperspace wars or like 1,000 years. So I think he's talking about like a series or a show, basically about like a Ronin Jedi or like a rogue force user in the middle of a war between the two sides.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I want to see, like I was talking about this earlier. I want to see people outside of the Sith and Sith and oh my god, what is Sith and Jedi is hard to say. I'm gonna just start saying Jeth because you guys will get what I mean with the Jeths. It's just they're so annoying. They really are so arrogant. They think that everybody cares about them and that they're the most important thing that's happening in the universe. And literally nobody cares.
Right.
And there are so many other force sensitive people that are using the force in their own personal life to achieve whatever they need and to get through the day. So I would love to say that.
Yeah, I'm down.
And it's like, and they always have to be like, oh, well, if you have the force, come join one of us. It's like, no, dude. I don't have to know
Yeah,
that.
it's definitely something I've wanted to see for a long time. It's one of the reasons I really like Rogue One because the Chirrut Enway character and the Guardians of the Wills, such a cool, interesting take on it. The Night Sisters also had a very interesting take on the Force. I love that kind of stuff. I wish there was more
Yeah.
like it, so for sure. Matthew says Hela looks more like what I thought Lady Loki would look like. What do you think about that? Hela, Kate Blanchett, a little bit more Lady Loki
Yeah.
than yeah.
100%. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Interesting. Yeah, I
She looks so
guess.
good.
Yeah,
Can we
she
just give
looks
a
great.
past shout out? No, past shout out to Hela in Thor Ragnarok. Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes, Thor Ragnarok. My
Yes.
god. She was
She was awesome, and she really killed that whole thing, man. Like the performance that she brought was very strong and unique. You know what I mean? I liked it a lot. Kenzie
weirdly one
Martin.
of my favorite lines is when she's just like, "You don't look like him" to Thor, and he was just like, what does Loki say when he's just like, maybe we can work something out? She's like, you sound like him though. And I was just like,
Yeah, for
love
sure.
this writing.
Yes,
Anyways,
very good writing on that one. No, did you know that's Tarantino's favorite Marvel movie?
I could see that.
Seems like
I
a
could see
fun.
that.
Yeah, I bet he has fun with them. Let us see here. Kenzie Martin follows up with I feel like we need to spend some time in an era where Jedi and Sith are plentiful, powerful, and follow a powerful Force user who is morally ambiguous. But that's just me fanboy dreaming. No, Kenzie, look, we kind of love
Hundo.
it. Love it, man. We picked up on that, and I agree. I think that would be fantastic. In the middle of this sort of very divided, just divided sense of the Force, it would be very interesting to see somebody sort of walking that gray path, that middle road of the
I wonder if
Force
they
users.
truly will ever get there content wise. Like imagining that middle ground world.
Ahsoka seems close. I mean, she's
It seemed the start of
certainly
that, but they haven't gotten there yet. And I'm
yeah,
just
they
wondering if
certainly
they
haven't
ever.
taken it there like the whole way. And I think this was a George thing. Like George was pretty adamant that there was no such thing as a gray Jedi. That basically, like in George's mind, and it's a very like kind of old fundamental belief is like if you dip anywhere, like if you dip away from the light at all, you're on the path to the dark side. So like you can't really sit in the gray. But that's just whether or not that's like I think you could be still on the light side but not be a Jedi, right? So you could perhaps not be on the path to oblivion and still be being completely selfless, but not adhere to the sort of dogma and belief system and structure that the
Yeah.
Jedi Order had in place. You know what I mean?
Well, although he said that, I feel like just based on like the work that he's put out, I just don't think maybe he adheres to that super strictly. But I also do feel like if they really got to that gray Jedi like middle ground, I feel like that would be the end of Star Wars.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, and maybe that's
You
a
know what
part
I
of it because
mean?
they
Like I
need
feel
the
like that
two
would
sides
be
to yeah.
the end. The happy ending, but kind of like the end.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. I don't know. It's a cool concept though. I think that I'd like to see it. I would certainly like to see it. Oh,
Yeah.
look, Christian Michael did get the super chat and says she is credited as Sylvie, which is the second Enchantress. Yeah, we talked about this a couple of different times,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's very possible that that's Enchantress and not actually Lady Loki, which could be very cool and lead to some cool things. Appreciate ya. Ash Hammer says, so what if the TVA is just another one of Wanda's created worlds where there's no time so that she can finally find her kids? I'm just playing. Love you guys. No, but there could be something to that. The Nexus event, the Nexus thing that was teased with Wanda. You think there's any Wanda connections to what's going on in
I don't
Loki?
think she's that hot yet.
Yeah.
I don't think she's too. I mean, that's the thing with Wanda. She's just like, she doesn't have that much control over a situation. She's a
Yeah.
little too erratic. And while she probably has the power to do that, I don't think she could like maintain a full grasp
Totally fair. Yep.
like that.
I think that's probably the best way to say it is like, is she capable of it? For sure. But could she do it? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say that the Darkhold and multiverse stuff, and maybe the Darkhold is beyond the regular sacred timeline or something. There's still the possibility for some fun connective tissue there. And then the only other follow up to that, Christian, is that Feige kind of implied that Wanda's story will move past Doctor Strange 2 but there probably will not be a WandaVision season 2. So he was kind of answering a question about WandaVision season 2, and he said no, but her story will continue past Doctor Strange 2. So take that for what you will.
Yeah. She upends things.
Yeah, for sure.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Stoke thing, lay the groundwork.
Still hoping that boner was real. OG family, Star Wars was just Star Wars, says, simp in responsibly for brown-haired white dudes. Freaking bag of cats.
For those bag of cats?
You mean those freaking bag of cats over there?
Bag of cats.
Lauren says with a $5 holla, do you think Exhibit and West Coast Customs will simp my ride? What the Oh, man. What the All right, y'all. You're on another level
You're
tonight.
like, God damn it. You're like, I hate this. I hate Darren's Danger Room with all these simp puns.
All these simp puns are driving me up a freaking wall. No,
Hey,
it was all right, man.
if anyone wants to smile tonight, before you go to bed, just think about all the stupid things Exhibit did to cars, like how he put a juice bar in someone's trunk and then lay your sweet, sweet head down. God, the early 2000s.
That show was kind of fun, though. I mean, those
it was
old
fun, but it's like
shows were fun like that low, and totally unnecessary. And then towards the end of them, they got even more ridiculous because they kept trying to like outdo each other. Like, I'm gonna make this truck into a boat plane. It's like, holy shit, this is a different show. This is taking on a different.
Oh, I heard you like the 70s, so I made your entire car shag carpet. And you're like, what? Why would I want that?
Why would anybody want that for television? And then slap them and send them away. Hero Dares Fire with a $5 holla says, Elisa posted a video earlier with you topless on the beach. That better go into the calendar. Yeah. We will do that. Yeah, I think it's a video.
So Elisa is leaking your OnlyFans content.
Yes.
You should tell her that she's messing with your bag.
Messing with that cash flow. But yeah, that video, which I still have to watch, but yeah, I saw her working on it. It's very cool. It's a vlog about our new Shiba puppies. So it's
first of all, how much money are you trying to get shirtless with puppies? Like, damn, Josh, like really trying to like check all the boxes. Like,
hey, you never know. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. I don't know exactly what that
means. Like viewership has been low, and so I have to take the shirt off.
Man, this summer is killing us here. We gotta go shirtless puppies. No, right? So yeah, but yeah, you gotta check it out. Look, we had a lot of fun. It was a fun adventure getting those pups. So check that video out. It's very, very fun.
You guys are adorable. Living your meme lord
honestly,
dream.
it is we're kind of living our best nerdy life over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, dang, like that is, and they're
nerdy
awesome.
Meme lords.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like they're just the most, and Elisa will back me up here. They're the most pleasant pups. They really don't cause all that much trouble, so they definitely haven't been a headache for Elisa more than me, as I'm in this room working way more than she is, so she has to deal with all of it. Bless her heart. So let's see here. Colt says, "What about a symbiotes?"
What?
Symbiotes, like symbiotes. Is Darren a Venom simp? Did you like Venom?
I enjoyed the viewing experience. That makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't like love it. I wasn't like, oh, Venom was fucking sick.
Yeah.
But I had a great time watching it. Yeah. And I liked it.
I can agree with that.
Like, it wasn't a great movie, but it was a good movie and a good time.
It felt like a 90s comic book movie at a time when I was kind of ready. But I was kind of ready, and Venom being the iconic 90s dude. Was kind of felt right.
It.
You know what I mean? It kind of felt right. So I like.
Thank you for the symbiote pun. Yeah, that was very great.
Very good.
Venom was fun. It was good enough for me to kind of be excited for the second one. Not good enough for me to rewatch a bunch of times. That's
for sure.
Where it's at.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair way to say it. Prince Zodiac says, Brokehorn, blonde, Sylvia in the credits, equal Enchantress. Yeah, very possible. And then he follows up with, I had to give it a super chat into the Simptation. Yeah, I like that Simptation.
Yeah, follow your Simptation.
Here's another one.
To my simply.
Here's another one. The no sleep for my boner text venture says, just a Simpquisitor boner.
Simpquisitor.
Hey. 420.
I'll be throwing out that pun the entire time, the Inquisitor show. I will be just be calling them Inquisitors the entire time.
Damn, it's come to this. You're going down a path I can't follow. Felicity says with the $5 if you make things for public consumption, you can't get mad when the public doesn't consume it. Go back to the drawing board and don't crap on fans. I agree with you. And there's also nothing wrong.
100%.
Like there's so nothing wrong with being like, hey, we thought this would work. It didn't connect as much as we thought it would. So, we're gonna recalibrate. That would be so much. That would be so refreshing if more of these studios said that.
Yeah. From what I can see from the outside, obviously I have like no idea what like actually goes on. I just feel like Dave Filoni is such a bright little spot in this world that he really does do that. Like he like makes the thing that he really wants to make, and when it doesn't work, he's like, oh well, it didn't work this time. I guess we'll just make this other thing that I love to make. Like, and it just like moves it right along. So I feel like it's the perfect attitude for it.
I think that's totally fair. You've got to kind of have that bravery, right? Like that courage to be like, oh no, we're gonna go there and it might not work out. You know what I mean? Like, and people might not all dig it or whatever, but this is what we got to do, and we want to just kind of adjust and learn from that. So
perfect attitude you need to be at the head of a Star Wars franchise, honestly, because like Star Wars fans are never happy.
Right.
So you really have to just be someone who's fucking stoked to be there, loves what he's doing, feels good about what he's making, and just ready to make another one if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally fair, especially when it comes to the Star Wars fans. We love them, but damn. Let's hear. Lavis says, derail. To know what y'all are talking about, let's get some Kate Beckinsale in the MCU Sue Storm. Let's go! Kate Beckinsale as Sue Storm. Interesting.
I think Kate Beckinsale is like stupid hot.
Interesting. Yeah, she's very, very attractive.
Like she's like stupid hot. Like that's one hot lady. As Sue Storm, I could see it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. She, her Celine character in the Underworld movies actually it looks like Kate Beckinsale, but it's a very unique Kate that most of people know her like that. But if you've ever seen like other photographs of her, that side of Kate I could see, you know what I mean, being Sue.
Yeah.
Because she's a little, I mean, she's not as exotic and crazy looking, but she's still very beautiful. Long brown hair. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, she's very funny.
Yeah, she could do it. She could do it. OG fan, when Star Wars was just Star Wars, says simp is an internet slang term describing someone who performs extensive sympathy and attention towards another person, typically someone who doesn't reciprocate that same feeling. Long live the Simpire. Awesome. Quote
you know
of
what
the
I just
day.
love about the internet though is that like incels kind of came up with the term simp, and then the internet just like took it back immediately and turned it into a meme.
Yes, I know.
That's why I love the internet.
I mean, I love the word simp. I remember like people got all weird about it, and like in different corners of the internet, people get butthurt about whatever. But it got to the point where like on Twitch, I think to this day, if you use simp in a derogatory term, you can get banned. Like what the fuck? Like what the fuck happened? Like it's a hilarious word. It's like I simp for Dave Filoni, Kevin Feige. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just a verbiage, just colloquial internet talk. Like holy shit.
No, but that's why I love the internet, because I feel like at first incels came up with it and used it to try to like weaponize it to be in a way like anytime a man showed any woman any sort of like nicety or affection, they just like Sam. But then the internet was immediately like no thanks, and then just turned it into a meme that everyone is using as a colloquial term, and that's what I love about the internet.
That is great.
And like Twitter, keep up, okay? It doesn't mean what it originally means anymore, so just let people simp.
True, indeed.
Actually, Dan tried to say thick with 2 C's on TikTok to me the other day, and TikTok banned the message. Like, wouldn't let him DM me the words thick, THICC.
What?
Yeah.
Because it violates.
Yeah.
The fucking. That's weird.
Internet be wildin'.
Internet be wildin', but they'll steal all your data. Coffee House Bullshit says with a $3 Inquisitor shows would be sick on Reddit saying BS. Yeah, Reddit says a lot of stuff is BS. I will say that this report, especially the fact that it's being, it's in early development, I'm less sure about it than I am of like the Barris Offee report, right? So I like the
Mm,
hashtag show guys. I do. But I won't lie to you and say that they're the most reliable, source out there. They've been getting a lot of stuff right lately, but I always say when it comes to scooping, there's two things that make a good scooper. Their source is number one, of course, because you need to have good sources, multiple sources that you can check things on. But really, the whole other side of that coin is your judgment. You've got to make a judgment call on what you report. And often the scoopers that get their hand caught in the cookie jar, they allow the excitement of what they think they're hearing or what they think could be real to overcome their judgment. And without verifying it through a lot of different channels, they'll run something because they're hyped. They want to get the attention or whatever. That's why I'm actually glad I'm
mm.
not a scooper, because I get to sort of sit back and be like, this is what they're saying. I think this, and then I can try to avoid it being culpable. Some people still hold it against me, but yeah, it's interesting. Reddit is usually wrong though,
That
especially
makes
about
sense.
Star Wars. Clifton Copenhagen says my first ever soup can't ever. Wait, my first ever soup can't ever.
Yay!
I live paycheck to paycheck. Thank y'all for what y'all do. It helps with life. You and Star Wars theory. Family is hard. Nah, brother. Hey, again, totally
Oh
understand,
my
Clifton.
god.
Yeah, that's
This like we need to have another moment of silence, moment of appreciation for
yeah.
Clifton, because yeah, that living to paycheck life is literally the worst. Would
It's a lot of
ugh,
anxiety,
yeah,
yo. Like I
it literally
remember.
like gives me anxiety just like remembering those
Yeah.
days. Like
Yep.
it was awful. Like it was a truly awful feeling. Like every
Yep.
day was anxiety when you're living paycheck to paycheck. And so the fact that you would even like give a crumb us because we make you happy makes me
Yeah,
so
for
goddamn
sure, man.
happy.
Definitely means a lot. Definitely means a lot. It's we're not like a corporation or whatever. It's like real ass people, real ass shit, and yeah, we're trying to do some cool stuff here. And so it's great that you would take that hard earned mooches and throw it at these internet talking heads, man, so that we can kind of keep doing what we're doing. Thank you, Clifton.
Yeah.
Crest says, I actually saw Exhibit this past weekend at a restaurant in Palace in Vegas. I thought it was totally random until I hear you guys talking about him on this trip. What's still random, Crest? This doesn't mean that it wasn't random that you fucking saw him
This is like,
in
I
Vegas. What
bet you
the
some
fuck?
like healer or some new agey person will tell you that this is fate somehow, that you manifested Exhibit into your life. And
You know what? I'm flipping. I'm flipping on this one. The Mystics are right, bro. It was destined. Exhibit in the MCU as
holy shit.
Bishop. Pimp my future.
I be catching bitches, but bitches be catching feelings. Anyways,
Yeah. No, thanks, Crest, for that. Very nice. Crimson with a $7 hollow. Interesting. Sending a CFB Goose Bay, in your opinions, what is the likelihood we will see Tamara Morrison play multiple characters in Disney Plus series? I would say that is, I'd give it a 70% chance. If they don't do it, it's only because they screen tested it and they weren't feeling it. You know what I mean? Tamara Morrison is awesome, but can he do what D.
he's
Bradley
like
Baker
old.
does, right, to really differentiate the clones and give them their own unique thing? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
will say one of the things I did notice in The Mandalorian, I was just like, that's a dad bod. He's old.
Yeah, and Dad Bob Boba was kind of fantastic, but do we want to see
I
Dad
like
Bob every clone?
I know, I kind of loved it too. Like when I was just like, I literally exclaimed, I think kind of the same thing when I was watching it. I was like, Dad bod Boba! Like, yes, I don't know why it tickled me so, but I liked it. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's like when we had to watch like Harrison Ford like run a lot in the new Star Wars trilogy. I was like, can you stop making this old man run, please?
Right.
It's stop it.
Yep.
Hard for him. I can see it.
It's hard for him. I wonder how much running he's going to do in Indiana Jones 5.
Oh my god. Stop making him run. Just like guys.
I still kind of can't believe they're making that movie. I almost feel like, never mind. I'm not even going to go there. Let's just hope. Let's hope. There's a lot of good things that could be going on with that movie. Sure, it'll probably be real chill. So
I didn't even know they're making Indiana Jones 5, but if that means I have to see Harrison Ford's ass like run down more corridors, I just feel really bad for him, and I hope he gets paid $7 billion and leaves it to his kids or
Yeah.
donates to charity. I don't know what he's gonna do with it.
I hope it's dope. I hope it's way better than Crystal Skull, and it's something that indie fans can be really, really excited about. Just for me, though, I don't need it. I don't need the movie. I didn't even need Crystal Skull. Those old movies are amazing. You know what I mean? And the TV
I
shows.
think that
And
could be said for many a franchise reboot.
yeah.
Didn't need it.
Oh, for sure. I guess I'm just more speaking like for my personal like charcuterie of nerdy things. Indiana Jones is like not something that's gonna make the cut a lot for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
more indie. Though they're brilliant movies. Like I feel like
Yeah.
as just fans of good film, especially if you like Spielberg and Lucas in any capacity, hell yeah, Indiana Jones is dope. But like it's not something I ever like needed more of. It's
Yeah.
not like a world. It's not like a fucking like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just all right. Yeah, we're doing that, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really understand either. That music be hitting though.
Oh yeah, that music definitely be hitting. Can't deny that. Can't deny that.
Yeah.
OG says Boba Fett is the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. This is true. This is
Bad bod and all.
So I think we shall call it there, Miss Darren Wood. Any other things you want to get into? Any things you want to say to the peoples before we get out of here?
I think we basically covered it. I feel like this is a nice meaty stream. I'm like very impressed that you can bring out this meat after being awake and on camera for literally the whole day. Like, what the hell, Josh? You are an alien.
Well,
and a
sometimes
beast wrapped in
when you identify this thing that you can do pretty well, for me, it just happened to be talking about nerdy shit. And all my teachers said, "You'll never amount to anything. Just talk about the nerdy shit. Shut up and listen to the teacher." You know, my parents were like, "Bro, you'll never. What do you just talk about? What kind of talent is that? Being able to talk about nerdy shit all the time." You know what I
real,
mean?
Josh. Those aren't even real people, and you're like, shh.
Yeah. So I just kind of figured out how to
Yeah.
do it. And
Extreme.
Yeah.
THICC.
Extreme. But yeah, go check out Darren's YouTube channel, her own individual YouTube channel, Instagram, the Patreon, doing cool cosplays, doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're a Nerdvenger member, check out Darren and Elisa tomorrow night for another edition. Ladies night. Ladies night.
Lady Venture.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'll be there checking out the chat, seeing what's going on. Thank you all for
You'll
hanging
be there
out.
in the background. Just
I'll
like,
be watching the pubs for once. I'll probably be like making sure they're not going absolutely insane. And maybe Elisa will come out and I will look bewildered on the couch like she did earlier. We'll see. But
right.
thank y'all
Have a
so
good
much.
night,
Guys, have a good
everybody.
night. We shall see you in the next one, ladies and gentle beings. As